my generation as a whole is lost because they're always constantly kissing Chrono Trigger's ass, but never gives the same respect to Chrono Cross. This is defense mode switching to attack mode, and Chrono Cross is to me what Chrono Trigger is to many. One, if not the best RPGs of all time. Let me stop saying D, but it's one of the best RPGs of all time I would love and ever played. Now, I understand that many people love Chrono Trigger just based on nostalgia. Is it really the greatest RPG ever made, like a lot of people claim? Probably not. But then again, my love for Chrono Cross is based on nostalgia as well. If you didn't grow up in my PlayStation and the N64 era, and you were to play Chrono Cross for the first time, chances are you'd be like, yeah, it's cool, but it's like, you probably see its flaws more than you see its strengths. You see its flaws more than you'd see its strengths, and blah. That's how I am a Chrono Trigger. See, I grew up on 3D games, late 90s, early 2000s. That's the era I grew up on. I didn't grow up in the 16 and 8-bit era. I grew up in the 32, 64-bit era. And the problem with that is that I'm always seeing games that aren't 3D, 2Ds, or whatever the hell is less than. Is it fair? No, it's not fair, but life isn't fair. And that's just the way I see it. It is my perspective. And again, anything that isn't a 3D game, I see it as less than, even if it's older games from back then. It's just the way my brain is wired because I grew up on 3D games. So something like Chrono Trigger, even if I were to play it tomorrow and think, hey, this game is actually pretty good, it's pretty decent, yeah, I actually like it, I'm not going to like it better than Chrono Cross. For two reasons. A, my nostalgia for Chrono Cross would just be too strong. And B, it's a 2D game. One is 3D, one is 2D. One I grew up on, one I didn't. Bam, Chrono Cross wins, just like that. And, a lot of people hate Chrono Cross just based on the fact that it's like, in the middle of Chrono Cross's story, they kind of told Chrono Trigger's story for a little bit, and kind of like Chrono Cross kind of shitted on Chrono Trigger's story and made it almost seem like everything that Chrono Trigger did was meaningless. So that kind of pissed a lot of people off and made them hate Chrono Cross. And then we're supposed to get a third game called Chrono Break, if I'm not mistaken, and it never came out. Which, to this day, I wish that they would just make another Chrono game. I only had 2 games. I wish they would just make a third one just for nostalgia's sake. Because if there's going to be a Chrono remake, there's going to be Chrono Trigger, the one that everyone loves. Chrono Cross is like more niche. Whereas like it has its fan base, but like out of the 2 games, which one's asses kissed more? It's going to be Chrono Trigger. With its freaking Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Quest like drawings and shit. That's the only thing I found weird. Is like there's 2 different RPGs that had the Dragon Ball Z art style. This Dragon Quest, which always traditionally had their style. And then there's Chrono Trigger. And when they went to Chrono Cross, they didn't copy that shit because then they'd be fucking Dragon Quest Light, I guess. Which begs the question, why the hell did they use Dragon Ball Z's freaking art style anyway? When Dragon Quest was notorious for being the only one that did it. But anyway, I'm getting off topic now. Chrono Cross, one of the reasons I love it so much, and a lot of people don't like it for this reason, is the ridiculous amount of characters. Most RPGs, if you have 3 characters and leave it at that, or maybe 4 characters, usually it's 7 or 8 characters, maybe 9. And this old school RPG had fucking like 50. And then it had like a whole nother section where you're the bad guys, and then that alone had its own like, I don't know if it had 52, but it had had a strong amount of that one too. So it's characters up the ass. And a lot of people hate that because we can't flesh out all the characters because there's too many of them. So every character is like, they have like a side story to them. But there's no, like, you really can't get into any of them because there's too many of them. You can't really get into anyone's backstory other than Kate's story and your main character story. And that's basically it. Everyone else is just like, Final Fantasy 16 all over again. It's Final Fantasy 16-ish. Like, yeah, you have side characters you can use and shit, but like they have somewhat of a side story, but they don't really fucking matter. Which I was perfectly fine with. You know why? Because my favorite, franchise of any kind besides Mario is Pokemon, and Mario is my crack and my meth. I love them both equally. One I inject, one I sniff, but I love the Migo Cam. Just joking. I love Pokemon. What I love about, I thought I just loved Pokemon itself, but then I found out what I love about Pokemon is monster capture mechanic. Because I played for the first time in my life, I tried something other than Pokemon. This is when Pokemon was like during the Sword and Shield days when Pokemon was really just, trash. Scarlet and Violet isn't really that much better, to be honest with you. But fucking Legends really got me back into Pokemon. Not that, Pokemon can make 10 bad shitty games in a row and I'll probably still play. But let's not get off topic here. What I really loved about it was monster capture mechanic because I played Digimon Cyber Sleuth. And those 2 games are some of my favorite games of all time now. And that's what I realized. I love Pokemon and all, but what I really love is the whole capturing, having like having tens of hundreds of different monsters to capture that look different and have different, elements and different abilities, and that you could evolve and become different versions of themselves. That's what I love. And that's why I've been a Pokemon fan my whole life and love Pokemon games to death. It was because of that. And once I played Digimon, I realized the whole monster capturing mechanic that I love so much. And for some reason, Chrono Cross kind of scratched that itch. Obviously, you're not capturing monsters or whatever in Chrono Cross, but you have so many different characters to choose from, and that's what I fell in love with. And the fact that so many different characters to choose from, and I can switch it up, and I can never get bored of the same characters because there's so many other characters I could get. And then there's different characters you can get. It's depending on certain things you do, you get certain different characters for certain different reasons. Or you can get characters quicker than you would later. And there's certain things you have to do, and certain people you have to talk to, and certain side things you have to do just to get those characters. And that kind of thing is what I love. Is what I love about Pokemon and any kind of Pokemon-esque or Digimon-esque monster capturing mechanic. That's what makes Chrono Cross, what makes me love Chrono Cross so much. Is the different variety of characters. It doesn't really matter to me that like not every character is going to be fleshed out, like Xenoblade Chronicle style, or they have a set characters, and you get to know all of them in and out. You get to know their ambitions, their motivations, their their backstory, who they grew up with, who they love, who they hate, all of them. And both methods are fine, but like the other method of a whole bunch of characters, that's all. Only very few RPGs have ever done that. Chrono Cross did it, and I can't really name another one that did it. But I don't really care that all the characters don't have some deep story, and I can't connect to them on an emotional level. I look at them the same way they do any kind of monster capture game or whatever. I just say hey, they look cool, they have a cool little side story, cool, let me use it. Because as long as the main story, as long as I can connect to the main story, that's all that matters. And to be honest with you, I'm more of a gameplay person than a story person anyway. Like, I can play a game that has a shitty story and has great gameplay, but I can't do the reverse. You can have a great story, but if the gameplay sucks, that I can't get with. So side characters, whatever your characters in your group not being fleshed out, having some deep story that you get behind, doesn't really matter to me all that much. Particularly when it comes to having a giant selection of characters you can play. So the fact that I can capture the wrestler guy, I can capture the Glenn, who's that knight guy that you can use that extract move with your main character, it just makes it cool. The mushroom guy you capture way late in the game that turns into a mushroom and gets pissed off and then goes with you, that shit's always hilarious. The goofy characters you can get, the cool characters you can get, the skeleton that you have to collect all his bones and his head and everything throughout the game. And if you do everything right and collect all the bones, he becomes one of your characters. That's the kind of cool thing that I love. You have to look up how do I get this character? Well, you get this character by doing X, Y, and Z. You have to say this, you have to go to this person to do that, and say this to get this character. And then, that's what I love about RPGs or any kind of monster capture mechanic game of any kind. That's what I love. The fact that I can just go ahead and just, there's certain rules of certain characters you have to get and certain things you have to do and just a whole variety of characters. I love that shit. I always love that shit. And that's why I loved Chrono Cross. I put it over the edge. I just love the wide selection of characters you can play. And then, of course, the story was cool. The whole time story, the two different worlds you have to go to. One world you're dead, one world you ain't. There's literally two versions of every single character you interact with in Chrono Cross. There's another dimension world to them. One world they're nice, one world they're mean, one world they're happy, one world they're sad. That's cool too. Very few RPGs have done that. Or at least RPGs that I've played have really done that. The whole two-dimension world thing where one world you're one thing, one world you're the other. One world you're dead, one world you're eight, one world this happened, one world that happened. It is just a unique game. I know Chrono Trigger did some time thing too, but I'm not really too keen on the story. But just the way Chrono Trigger did everything, the multiple characters, the two different dimensions you have to go through, back and forth to kind of go through the game. It was just a unique game. And then the music of Chrono Cross. Some of the best music you ever hear in any video game ever. One of the songs, besides the intro song in the beginning of the game that's fucking memorable as hell. One of the songs that stick out to me is the one where you go back in time to when kid was a child and you saved her from some death from the main villain, that leopard lion main villain that came and killed all those kids, which Chrono Cross's story is pretty freaking dark, to be honest with you. And you saved kid from death, and that's why kid remembers you, and that's why kid is so attached to you. Blah. Just that song alone, the la 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 la, that song right there. I forgot the name of the song, but that song right there freaking always sticks to my mind. And like, it just the soundtrack for that game is freaking bar none some of the best music you hear in any video game or RPG ever. It's fantastic. A great musical score, plenty of characters to choose from. A real convoluted but still real interesting freaking main story. Where in half the game you actually turn into the villain. You know, he pulls the Captain Ginyu versus Goku thing, and you end up switching bodies. He has your body, and you're in his body, and then he stabs Kid while he does that. I mean, the game is just flawless, man. And then towards the end, if you beat the game the right way, you actually save Kid from certain death. I think like if you beat the main villain the wrong way, Kid like dies along with that creature, that time creature, whatever. So if you do it the right way, you save Kid, and then you and Kid like they pretty much hint at you and Kid getting married or whatever. And like I never even knew that as a kid. I thought the ending was just shitty. Then I found out that ending later on, and I'm like, man, that's actually pretty damn cool. Imagine that, an RPG where the two love interests, you and the love interest between the main character and the main female character. Imagine that. They actually get together and get married. How many fucking RPGs have done that over the years? Almost none of them. They always make some fucking love story just to not fucking capitalize on it in the end, and then the end. They leave it at a cliffhanger, like as if they're gonna make a sequel to the game, and they never fucking do. And then it just left as a cliffhanger. The love interest, yeah, don't really get together and die. Have a good day. That's the end of the story. We're too fucking stupid to just finish the story and make them get together, get married, show them in the future with kids, something. But Chrono Cross pretty much had everything for me then. And the fact that we haven't I know if a remake ever comes out, the first one's gonna get remade first before the second one's even sniffed at. But the third game, Chrono Break, never came to light. You know, Xenogears Monolith Soft was able to eventually make Xenosaga. You know, Final Fantasy 7 finally got its remake. So there's rumors that Final Fantasy 9 is going to be the next slew of remakes to come out. I don't know about Final Fantasy 8. Then we got Legend Dragoon has been hinted for years that Bluepoint is going to remake it. And who knows if that's true, if that's still happening or not. But that's rumored. But the one game you never hear about ever getting any kind of sequel or any kind of any continuation at all is fucking Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, two great flawless games that influenced two different generations, that two separate generations love to death. And we just never got a third one, and that's pretty much the end of it. It's just sad. Even if they were to make a shitty third game, I would just like to see the Chrono series fucking continue. I mean, Star Ocean is able to continue. All these fucking RPGs are able to continue. Freaking Chrono just dies with its second game. Two flawless, great games that two separate generations love, and then death. Never get another one. If anything, I would just love to see a freaking third game, just based on my love for Chrono Cross. Then when the Chrono Cross got remastered, earlier this year or whatever, I freaking was quick to get it just to show support. Same thing with Legend of Dragoon. But Chrono Cross, man, very few RPGs will have the kind of musical score that'll freaking stay in my head like that one does. They're just the creative concept with the story with the two different dimensions. And not just like what a lot of RPGs do, where they pretty much make you restart the level over again. Like Bravely Default did that, where you pretty much just like go over the same world over again, just with different methods. And it's like, that's freaking boring. But they actually had two separate dimensions to go in and to from while you're playing the game. And then the whole shitload of characters that you can get, just all that more makes it just as fun. Not just being able to like have to do certain things to get a weapon, but certain things to get a character. Not one character, but many characters. A slew of shitload of characters. Like, you have your own little army with you. It's not just 7 guys trying to save the world. There's a whole fucking... You have damn near Dynasty Warriors like army on your back. Of course, you can only use 3 of them at a time, but that's besides the point. Anyway, I'm done rambling. This is Attack Mode. Back to the fence, mom.